All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. One of the best days of the week. Not the best day of the week. Saturdays this time of year, free money Sundays in a couple weeks, but always fun. Talking some fights with my man, Big Marley. 13 fights at the Apex. Little sad it's at the Apex. We've been treated with some fans. Nashville, Utah, always better in front of fans. But, hey, this card looks pretty good. 13 fights. 2 fighters did miss weight. Pretty bad, too. Tafon weighed in 189.5. Josh Freund, 189. So a couple pounds, both of them missed. Other than that, everybody made weight. Let's hope those 2 fights stay on the card. And if so, it's a pretty good DFS card, man. 13 fights, 11 of the 13 expected to finish. Main event, pretty much a pick-em, 8,200, 8K. Fun fight there. Not too many big favorites, too. So I'm excited for this one in DFS. Shout out my man Rio, Hebrew Cheetah last week. Got the job done, $38,000 to him. Little hurtful. I was sitting first place, solo shipping $100,000. Was fading 107 from Sandhagen, 85 from Rob Font. Yeah, I knew it was a little tough situation. Damn. And looking back, I had the stone nuts, and I could have had Sandhagen over Suarez, and it still would have been unique, and I would have shipped. And I was looking at that team. I saw Jacoby. I needed Jacoby. Got the job done. And then I looked. I was like, oh, man, I wish this lineup had Sandhagen, not Suarez, even before the fights went. I was like, I'll live with 98. I wanted more from Tatiana, but, hey, put yourself in a chance to win when you win, how much you win. Didn't get the job done, but awesome to see my man Rio absolutely been crushing MMA. Get the job done. Bringing you in, though, Marley. What's going on, my man?
Good, man. That's a brutal sweat, but it's good that you had a unique lineup going into that final fight. And fading 107, you were pretty damn live if he just didn't go out there and wrestle the entire time. But, man, hopefully this week will be your week. If not, maybe it'll be mine. I do think we got a decent card here. I love when the main event is right there in the mid-range. 5 rounds to work with. Both of them are high scorers. So this is a good card for DraftKings. We got 100K up top. And I'm fired up, man. After that NFL launch show, this is the best time of the year to sign up over at ShipItNation.com.
Absolutely. Leading right into that. If you missed the show with Hoop and Tambo, make sure to check that out. They went live on this channel not too long ago. Hold on. Can't answer your call right there. Sorry about that. They went live not too long ago. Release this bundle. Blast off. 3, 2, 1. Ship it, of course, as you can probably get the analogy right there. No better price right now that we have. You will not find a better price. $321 for 6 months. You sign up today. That gets you all the way through the Super Bowl. All the NFL content, and that's not only one sport for NFL. MLB is going on right now. MMA, of course. PGA. NBA will be starting up in 2 months. You get NBA throughout that time as well. And, of course, NFL. No better deal in the industry. Comes out to about $53 a month. If you already are a member at ShipItNation.com, if you're on a monthly package for $59 a month, you are able to upgrade too if you would like. Cut the price down. No better deal out there right now. And not only do you get all of our projections, ownership, stack rankings, core plays, cash reports, a lot of stuff coming. We didn't even mention all the content we're going to have. Some stuff will be trickling in. Exciting news. You also get 4 hours of Tambo and Hoop breaking down an education course in NFL. Everything you need. Roster construction, live finals. Tambo's been to multiple. Millie Makers. Hoop won the Millie Maker last year. People were able to ask questions in our Discord that they had in the NFL season. Hoop and Tambo touched on all those questions in there as well. 4 hours, and that comes completely free with that blast off package. No better time. There's no better deal. Again, there's monthly as well. If you do the monthly one, that takes you through week 1, Monday Night Football. You do still get week 1 there, but the 6 months, $321, about $53 a month. Gets you all the way to the Super Bowl. Really no better price out there. You get our MMA stuff, PGA, like I said. NBA will be here before you know it. Hebrew Cheetah, my man, tight 100% shipping this weekend. I wish it worked like that, Hebrew. I wish it worked like that. If you run it back, I'll be just as happy, though. But, of course, we appreciate that like button, appreciate that subscribe button. If you want to head over to shippingnation.com, again, no better deal out there. There won't be a better deal. All sports, $53 a month it comes out to. Let's talk some fights, though. 13 fights on this card. The bout order, it's changed a little bit. So I'm going to go based on how I have it on the slate plan. I think for the most part, I'm right. Maybe I'm off on a fight or something. But bottom to top, as always, first fight of the night in the women's division. Luana Santos, Juliana Miller, -150 Santos, +130 for Miller. This is one of the two fights, both the women's fights. There's only two women's fights on the card. There's three women's fights on the card, excuse me. Two of the three are expected to go the distance. This is one of them, +150 to finish. Miller, the underdog, +275 inside the distance prop. Santos, +375. So, man, I mean, Juliana Miller, last performance, she was -400 against Hardy, just lost 30-27. It was like, that's the prime example, women's MMA, pretty much can spam. If you spam underdogs every single time, you're very profitable in this sport. -400, looks like she was +400 in that fight. Her striking's awful. Her wrestling, takedown entries, no good. She's a good grappler, though. She definitely has that. And now she's taking on Luana Santos, who's making her UFC debut. Hasn't fought the best competition. Her one loss was against a solid fighter, but other than that, 5-1, not the best competition. She also looks like a primary grappler, though. Loves her head and arm throws, wants to fight on the mat. I like this fight for DFS. It's really gross to pick how I'm approaching it. I'm going to get overweight on it. You look in the range, the Luque RDA fight right below, Tafon fight, everyone in that range is expected to finish. So maybe that keeps ownership down a little bit. And we have two primary grapplers, so I expect the fight to play out on the mat a lot. And in women's MMA, especially like this, I'm just hoping for one woman to be way better than the other, an absolutely dominating performance. Even if it goes 15 minutes and one girl dominated the whole time, you can easily get a big score in this one. So I'm definitely in on this fight. Picking a winner, I have zero confidence. Like, I'm not laying a penny on this fight if I'm sports betting or anything like that. I guess it's dog or pass for me. I'll say Miller. I think the recency bias, I won't even call it recency bias because the bias is correct. Miller was cheeks. I don't think she's good. Unknowns on Santos for sure. But if Santos is going to bring it on the mat, it's going to give Miller chances to take the back and do what she does best. So as a confidence of one, I'll say Miller. DFS, though, sign me up for both of these. I plan to be overweight on this first fight. Going to play out on the ground a lot. What do you like in this fight?
Yeah, well said. I just want to target the fight in general because they're both grapplers. If one of them has 3 rounds of grappling success, they can score 100+ points here. They're also live for the submission. Pick-wise, I'm going Santos just because Miller looked so bad in her last fight against a striker, and she was taken down 4 times and controlled for half the fight. And Santos wants to get the fight to the ground. She's got a judo background. I think she can have all the success that Hardy had in the last fight here. So I am going to pick her to win, but it's the same thing where maybe it was just a one-off. Maybe Miller has the success we saw the fight before that, and she's the one having all the grappling success and getting in top control and all the takedowns. So I don't have any confidence on either side either. So I think what I'm planning on doing with my hand builds, I'll start with Santos. I'll start building the lineup. And if I need to drop down to Miller, I'm absolutely cool doing that because I could absolutely see Miller being the one that just welcomes this girl to the UFC with a grappling performance. So I just think this is a fight I want in more than half of my lineups. Don't want to pick a winner outright. You know, I'm not betting this fight, but I think it's an important one for GPPs. And if I end up higher weight to Miller, then I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I'll let Solver, our partner optimizer over here at shippingnation.com, dictate it. I want to be overweight, but like, just say they give me 35 Santos, 25 Miller. Even though I'd rather a little more Miller, I'd be fine with that. Now, if it's the opposite or even 38%, 33%, like, I just want a good amount of this fight. Again, I'm going Miller. It's really gross to say. I like her finishing odds. Again, it's the rare situation, and we have one other spot on this card where the underdog is more likely to finish than the favorite. But yeah, good fight to target for sure. And people always, if you only play like one lineup, 1 to 3 lineups, people always get skeptical plugging in the first fight of the night because they feel like they're dead right away or they don't like that. It ruins a sweat. Obviously, it really doesn't like if they went from main event, 5-round fight was the first one, all the way down. Like, each fight's independent. It should not mean anything in your mind, but it does mess with people, and probably comes in a little lower under owned than it should, is how I see it, especially looking at the finishing odds, which people do. Money lines are close, so it's even hard getting the winner. So yeah, that's why I'm definitely an MME guy, and MMA definitely will get both sides of this fight. I'll go Miller, but yeah, confidence is a 0. Keeping it rolling, next fight on the card, Damon Blackshear, Jose Johnson, 8,600 Blackshear, 7,600 Johnson. Looking at the odds, about minus 270 to minus 280 for Blackshear, plus 225 on the way back for Johnson. Fight is minus 190 to finish, plus 135 for Blackshear, plus 225 for Johnson. So Johnson's taking this fight on a couple days. It's about a week's notice for Brady Heastand. This line open minus 200, plus 170 for Blackshear, which is why you do see the odds 8,600, 7,600. Blackshear is taking a good amount of money. So if this fight was, the pricing was released right now, Blackshear is probably like 9,100, Johnson 7,100, something like that. So you definitely get a discount, at least talking money line value on Blackshear. Good inside the distance prop at 132. I'm seeing this as a clash of styles. Blackshear, he's a solid striker by any means. I think it would be a pretty close fight on the feet. Johnson's the bigger fighter, the longer fighter, mixes it up at all 3 levels well. Good boxer, 8 of his 15 wins by KO. Again, he is making his UFC debut, but he's 15-8. He's fought multiple high-level guys, even on the regional scene, twice in Contender Series, 1 loss to Ronnie Lawrence, beat Cartwright, and then he's been booked for, I think, 2 UFC fights so far that they fell out. So now he's finally getting his chance. The problem with him, though, no takedown defense. Ronnie, of course, wrestler, and really sad. If you guys didn't see, Ronnie's forced to hang him up right now with staph infection, all that. Hopefully he gets that figured out. But Ronnie took him down 12 times. Cartwright took him down 6 times. No get-up game off his back either. Blackshear has a wrestling background, too, a takedown in all 3 of his UFC fights. I think he puts on the wrestling shoes in this one. I think he can get takedowns at ease. I don't think Johnson gets up, eventually breaks them, 2nd, 3rd round. Who knows what Johnson's cardio going to be on short notice. So, yeah, I expect Blackshear to get some ownership for sure. The upper range is loaded, though, but I think Blackshear, due to takedowns, top control, eventually gets a finish. Really like him in this spot. But I will say, Johnson will be one of the lower-owned fighters on the card with really bad win equity at 7,600. A lot of cheaper dogs have better money line odds. However, plus 225 inside the distance. It's bet online. It's the only inside the distance prop I see up right now. That's one of the best in the lower tier. So, man, he's live for a KO if it stays on the feet. He's going to be really low owned with that inside the distance prop. Don't think it's crazy to get some of him, but I think Blackshear gets it done. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to be Blackshear or pass in this one. I do think that Johnson probably has a striking edge in this one. He's a solid striker. Both of them are primarily kickers, but you mentioned the lack of takedown defense on the Johnson side, and Blackshear's best part of his game is his grappling. Most of his wins are by submission. Johnson has been submitted multiple times. I just think that we're going to see Blackshear get a submission at some point, and the line just keeps moving in his favor. So we're getting all the value. In the last fight, I just want to throw them both in, hoping to hit the right combination. There's a couple fights on this card where I really just don't care for either side, but this is one where I'll take a stand. I'll just put Blackshear and then I'll X out Johnson, because if Johnson does win a 15-minute striking match, I don't think he has that much upside, but I don't think that's the case here. I do think he'll be fighting off takedowns or spending time on his back or against the cage where he's just not scoring any points minute to minute. So give me the grappler, Blackshear by submission in round 2 or round 3. He scored like 114 in his last fight. I think he has that kind of upside here too. So I'll probably be pretty heavy on Blackshear.
Yeah, I like it. 2 for 2 there on Blackshear. Keeping it rolling. Next fight on the card, 13 to talk about. Jacqueline Amorim taking on Montserrat Ruiz, 9,100 Amorim, 7,100 for Ruiz. This is the second of 3 women's fights on the card. This one is expected to finish inside the distance, though. Amorim minus 250, Ruiz plus 210. Fight's minus 200 to finish. Amorim minus 185 inside the distance prop on Bet Online, but then you go to Bovada and it's plus 135. So it's definitely minus 130, excuse me. So on Bet Online, minus 185 inside the distance, minus 130 on Bovada. So it's always important to price shop. As you can see, 55 cents, a big difference The round 1 prop, though, for Amorim, minus 110, again, on Bet Online, plus 135 on Bovada. So this fight, Amorim is favored to finish inside of round 1 on Bet Online, and it makes sense. She made her UFC debut last time against Sam Hughes. She had that first round finish, man. It was locked in. Sam Hughes was grabbing the gloves a little bit. Why wouldn't you? If she didn't, who knows? Maybe she is finished. But very nasty. 1-kill BJJ on the mat. Takedowns, takedown entries are still a little questionable. I think wrestling is solid. The thing with her, though, cardio. After round 1, it can fall off a cliff, and that's what happened in the last one. Sam Hughes ended up breaking her. In round 1, though, she's as dangerous as all can be. If it gets on the mat, it can be over shortly after. She's a much bigger fighter in this one. Ruiz, small for the division. She's making her return after it's been a little while. She beat Cheyenne Smith-Bays. An impressive win, 4-5 on takedowns. I gets knocked out by Amanda Lemos. No shame in that. Not even sure why that fight was sanctioned. But she's a junkyard dog. She's going to fight for your money. She's small. She's scrappy. Also a fighter that likes her head and arm throws. Not a fight I would do that in this one, because if she's doing that, she probably gets her back taken, and after that, it'll be over shortly after. On the feet, I think it's pretty competitive. She just has to survive round 1, does Ruiz. I think she'll be one of the lower-owned fighters. I think Amorim comes in one of the highest owned with their inside the distance prop. So I'm going to get overweight on some Ruiz too. I'm picking Amorim just because I pick in round 1 submission. I think it hits the mat at some point when she's fresh. I think she's just levels above on the map. But there is definitely a path I see for Ruiz. We talk about it. Of course, I'm picking a big woman's favor when I say I should always spam women's dogs. But there is a path at plus 210. Bad inside the distance prop. But if Amorim slows, points can come in bunches from Ruiz second, third round. Give me any win at 7,100, push a pace. So, yeah, another woman's fight that I like a lot of. Amorim by first round submission. When we're talking overweight to the field, Amorim could be 38%, something like that. Ruiz 13. Maybe I end up more overweight to the field on Ruiz than Amorim. But, yeah, Amorim first round sub is how I see it. I'm excited for this draft, though. What about you?
Same. Good fight to target because both fighters have a lot of upside. I am going to pick Amorim to get the first round submission. I just think she's so much better in the first round. She's a dangerous grappler. She's slick. And all Ruiz has is the head and arm throw. And then she's fine in top control after she gets it. But as you mentioned, that's not a good thing against a dangerous grappler to be going for head and arm throws. So I think Amorim ends up getting her back, choking her out in the first round, scoring 90-plus points. I do like her. But if she doesn't get that first round submission, she just gassed so fast in that last fight where she's going to be pretty pathetic in the second and third round if it gets there, where that head and arm throw will start working. She was pulling guard in her last fight. She's just comfortable spending time on her back. And if she does that here, then Ruiz is going to put up a good score and a win. So I just want to be heavy on this fight. I probably want this fight in like 3/4 or more of my lineups. I am going to target Amorim more so heavily, but I do want to be overweight to Ruiz because I want that hedge to my Amorim lineups. But she'll go overlooked, and she has 100-point upside even in a decision here. So great fight to target. Hoping both of these women fights that we've talked about go overlooked because I have a bit of interest in both of them.
Yeah, I hope so too. Amorim definitely won't go overlooked. She'll get some ownership. The other, Ruiz will be the lowest owned of the 4 for sure, but ownership's going to be relatively spread out. I mean, we're going to get Terrence McKinney, who's going to be high owned, the RDA Luque fight. Like, there's going to be certain people that are pretty high owned, but I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see anyone over 50%. Maybe like McKinney right there. But if everyone's under 50%, 13 fight card, assuming we do keep all 13, it is a good fight or a good card for DFS. No doubt about that. Before we get to the next fight, man, what a sloppy fight. Got a little time. I did forget to shout out our partner at drafters.com. Big Marley and I do Drafters live draft every single week. Did it on Wednesday. Chess's Liam joined us too. Very good best ball player. So check out that video. If you don't have an account, there's going to be overlay. I'm very confident in that right now. Looks like overlay in that $20, $3 contest, $30K up top too. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% from $20 all the way to $100. And again, anyone joining that didn't join from the beginning, that joined not too long ago, we did release Hoop and Tambo went live on this channel, shippination.com. The best price we have, $321 for 6 months, the NFL season. Today, 6 months from now, is Super Bowl Sunday. So this price gets you all NFL content as well as MMA, PGA, MLB right now. NBA will be going on during that time. Projections, ownership, stack value or stack rankings, core plays, slate plan, everything you need to be successful. Showdown, you won't find a better deal in the industry. And again, they also, or I shouldn't say and again, because people might have just joined and not heard. They also, with that package, you get 4 hours of Hoop and Tambo talking everything you need to know for NFL DFS, Shipping Nation education, Hoop with Millie Maker last year, Tambo, multiple live finals that touch on that, roster construction, cash versus GPPs, answer questions people had in the Discord. No better value. Again, $321. That is for the NFL season, as well as all the other sports we do offer. All right, Marley, this fight, I'm going to let you go first for sure. Martin Budai, Josh Parisian, 8,800 Budai, 7,400 for Parisian. Minus 200 is Budai, plus 170 on the way back. This fight's minus 105, minus 110 to finish. Budai plus 180, Parisian plus 375. The only big boy fight on the card, and man, are they some big boys. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, can we go back to talking about best ball and NFL? Because
that's why I did that one before, because, yeah, I didn't want to talk about this.
Yeah, I'm fired up for NFL season, learning from Hoop and Tambo. It's going to be a great season over at Shipping Nation. But yeah, this fight, this is one of my least favorite fights to target on the card. I do like Budai to win. I just think he is better everywhere. He can control where the fight takes place. I think he's a better wrestler. I think he's a better striker. But if he's going to go out there and strike, I don't know that he's going to pay off an 8,800 salary unless he gets a knockout. He could get a knockout in any round, and I think that would pay it off. But if he wins a decision, I don't even know that he's going to 10x that score. If he did wrestle, I think he could have all the success and score 100-plus points in a decision. We just have never seen him attempt to wrestle in the UFC, so I don't have any faith in him doing that now. So I'm just going to project him to go out there and win all 3 rounds, score about 80 DraftKings points, and I don't want a whole lot of this fight. I think the best reason to target this fight would be because it should go low-owned. They're heavyweights. It only takes one shot from heavyweights. So I think for ownership reasons, they're both in play. But on paper, I don't like either side of this fight. This is one I'm trying to get away from so that I can get more Blackshear and I can get more of those women fights that we've already talked about.
Yeah, completely lockstep here. Everything you said, I echo. I mean, such a gross fight. These two, I mean, Parisian is not UFC caliber. Budai, maybe he's UFC caliber. I mean, that just shows the difference between, like, Cyril Gane starts training a couple years ago and then fights for a title. Like, that's not happening at bantamweight, at flyweight. The level, low-level heavyweights compared to, like, low-level flyweights is night and day when it comes skill gap. I mean, I think Budai's better wherever the fight goes. But the problem is his whole game plan, every fight so far has been, let's use my big body, push him up against the cage, control him, land some little strikes, do that for 15 minutes. Like, we saw him go for takedowns prior to the UFC. It's on the table here. I mean, Parisian has bad takedown defense, no get-up game. The path is there. Budai peels him to the mat. He's probably going to TKO him on top. I mean, I don't think Parisian will have anything there. It's just we haven't seen Budai go for that. At range, if this fight stays standing at range, it's going to be so gross. That is how Parisian's live. But I think we see Budai coming with that same strategy, push him up against the cage. They do count clinch control when it is against the fence standing, though, which is a little reason if you do want to play Budai. I still expect 80 to 90 points from him, and I don't want that at 8,800 too. So, yeah, I'm picking Budai. Not a fight I want too much of. Rather the Budai side than Parisian. But, man, is it gross. Let's move on to a better fight for sure. One I'm definitely excited for. Francis Marshall, Isaac Dulgarian, 8,500 Marshall, 7,700 Dulgarian. Minus 180 is Marshall, plus 155 on the way back. Fights minus 200 to finish, plus 150 for Marshall, plus 200 for Dulgarian. Throw it over to you in this one. What do you see?
Yeah, I think this is a great fight to target. It's because of the Dulgarian side. I just think if he wins, what we've seen from him so far are just first-round finishes. He's never even been to the 3-minute mark in a fight, professional or amateur. He just goes in there and dominates everybody on the ground. And if he does that again here, he's going to score great. It's just we don't know what the heck this guy looks like after the first round. And we saw in Amorim in her last fight, she looked like that on the regional scene. She gets out of round 1 and she's worthless. Maybe that's what this guy is like. So I do have to favor Marshall for that reason. We know this guy's well-rounded. We know he can go 15 minutes. But I don't trust Marshall at all. He had a clear edge on the ground in his last fight. He goes out there, swings at air for the entire first round, goes to his bench, and he's telling his corner, man, I can't hit this guy. I can't touch him at all. So he goes back out in the second round, does the same thing, swings at air for all 5 minutes, loses that round, and then he wants to start wrestling in the third. I mean, it's too late at that point, Marshall. So I can't trust him, so that's why it's not an all-in fight. If he wins, I don't know what the heck he's going to do. Maybe he just doesn't do enough leading up to the win. But I do like targeting against these guys who have never been to a second round. So I'm cool with Marshall, but I think my preferred play, I'd rather just take my shots on the underdog. If Dulgarian wins, he has 110-point upside, and he looks great in all of his fights. I've seen no flaws so far. It's just that he's never fought anybody good. This will be the biggest step up on the biggest show. So just a fight I want to target heavily, but I think it's one of the higher ceilings for the underdog. So picking Marshall to win, preferred play Dulgarian.
Yeah, no, everything you said, I definitely echo again. I mean, so Francis Marshall opened -250, Dulgarian +210 on the way back, and Dulgarian's taking money. It's now at -180. Got all the way down to like -150. Did Marshall at some point. Then there was money buyback on Marshall from Dulgarian. But yeah, like you said, all of Dulgarian's fights, first round finished literally right away. Takedown, goes for it, gets in, mounts, submits them. Like, he's fighting bad competition, but he's walking right through them. Marshall's fought the much better competition. But like, yeah, that last fight, that's a tough taste. I mean, Denise Gomes a good fighter, no doubt about that. He can lull you to sleep, but Marshall's just staring in the mirror, got nothing going until the last couple minutes in that fight. I picked Marshall because he has he's fought the way better competition. He's also well-rounded. He solid takedowns himself. I don't think he really gets to it in this fight. Give him the advantage on the feet. We really haven't seen Dulgarian striking, so I think Marshall's got to be better on the feet, more volume. But I mean, we just saw last fight. Who knows necessarily about that? We see in Contender Series he lands over 100. Last fight he hardly lands any. But DFS-wise, the 800 savings, yeah, no, I think Marshall will be pretty popular too. Good win equity for the price at 8,500. Solid inside the distance prop too. Dulgarian, he's going to shoot for takedowns. If he does win, I think it's domination on the mat, top control takedowns. He has as much upside as anyone at 7,700. So I definitely do like this fight too. Probably, yeah, now you're saying I'm picking Marshall, but probably do prefer the Dulgarian and the $800 savings just because if he wins, I'd have a very hard time seeing it not score well. But it's a good fight for sure. We'll get a lot of answers for Dulgarian with the step up in competition here. But yeah, wrestler, I'm picking Marshall. Dulgarian, though, at 800 savings, yeah, I think I agree with you. I think he is the better DFS play. And I think Marshall probably comes in higher owned as well. So good fight to target, though, for sure. Talking good fights to target, man, it doesn't get better than this. Anytime you see the name Terrence McKinney, you know you're going to have someone DFS. He steps in on short notice. His last fight was just a month ago. He's stepping in for Lando Venata, taking on Mike Breeden. 9,200 McKinney, 7K for Breeden. Looking at the odds, McKinney is -260 in that range, +220 on the way back for Breeden. -800 this fight is to finish. McKinney -240 inside the distance. Breeden +300. McKinney's round one prop is -150. We don't even need to break down McKinney fights. We can literally say the same thing every time. He's a killer the first 5 minutes. He has the advantage everywhere against Breeden, I think. He hits harder. Wrestling's the big thing. Breeden's takedown defense isn't good. We saw McKinney no one really talks about his wrestling. People will now more because the last fight against Sedikov, but we talked about it in that fight. He did wrestle in college. He just loves to stand and bang, but he's good on the mat. I mean, Sedikov is a stud. People were down on McKinney after that last fight, saying I'm never playing McKinney again, all of this stuff. I mean, he's losing to guys that are good. Now he gets a step down in competition. The wrestling advantage is clear as day. I think he goes out there, takes him down, submits him, or grounds and pounds him shortly after. However, if he doesn't get him out there in 5 minutes, Mike Breeden's going to put up a big score good live betting spot. It's a Terrence McKinney that we always know, especially on short notice. Like, his cardio is not going to get better magically from that last month. He has 5 minutes to get the job done. So great fight to target. McKinney will be one of the most popular. So I'll definitely have some Breeden, man. I'll be overweight, great leverage off of him. But I just think the wrestling, think he gets him down early and finishes him shortly after. But 5 minutes, otherwise he's probably toast. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, perfect breakdown. I'm going to be heavy on McKinney. I expect him to win in the first round and score well. If he doesn't win in the first round, he's going to fall apart. And the guy that he is better than everywhere is going to become better than him everywhere and put up a good score. So I'm just going to be heavy on the fight. DraftKings has this at minus 1,100 and inside the distance. That's almost 92%. I think that's a good amount. Let's put 92% of our lineups at least, maybe all in. I might just go full 100 on this fight because I have a hard time seeing it not score well. And if somehow McKinney did magically fix his issues in round 2 and round 3, he has the style to score well in a decision if he does want to go out there and wrestle against a guy he's better than for 3 rounds. So I think it's, all in is where I'm looking at here. I wouldn't touch it in cash games. I just don't trust McKinney that much. But this is a GPP fight that we just want to target heavily. I do think people have caught on by now. Breeden on other cards, I mean, before we've seen McKinney gas out in his last fight, I feel like Breeden would go completely overlooked. But now people are looking to fade McKinney, and I think the ownership will be there. So if you want to look for other underdogs, hope that McKinney wins in the first round, Breeden comes back, doesn't do a whole lot in the second, wins in the third, doesn't score well. I think maybe you can get away from it for that reason. But at $7K, just how does Breeden not end up on the optimal lineup against a gassed out or giving up fighter? I don't see how this fight doesn't score well, I guess.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But at the end of the day, it's MMA DFS, nut shot, DQ, draw. Like, there's always pass, man. But
yeah, eye poke in the first round. It's a no contest. That's what happens
fight.
To my 100% all in fight. You're right. Yeah,
that's what I was praying for in that main event. Someone kick him in the nuts. Someone quit. Someone do something.
I've been there, man. Yeah.
Food poisoning, something. Cowboy Cerrone costing me 6 figures on that food poison too. But that's a story for another
I'd have been calling it a bomb threat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, something going on. I need someone to go to the apex there. But yeah, no, this fight, it's hard not to see it score well for sure. But there's a lot of high ceilings in the upper tier this week. So maybe McKinney gets 107 points. Yeah, sign me up for 107. But maybe there's multiple other people. Amorim gets 113, something like that, and he just gets left out there. But definitely a good fight to target, as all Terrence McKinney fights are. Keeping it rolling. Again, we appreciate everyone hanging out, watching live, watching on replay. If you haven't hit that like button yet, take 1 second out of your day. Hit that for us. We definitely do appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We have shows, all sports, every single day. MLB got a show in an hour, 12 minutes. Nades and I are going to be breaking down this Friday slate. Marcus McGee, JP buys the next fight, 9,600 for McGee, 6,600 for buys. It's the biggest favorite, minus 365, plus 290 on the way back for JP. Looking at it, minus 400 this fight is to finish. Minus 210 is McGee inside the distance, plus 400 for buys. So I thought JP buys was cut, to be honest. 3 straight losses. The problem with him is he has absolutely no chin, like zero chin. Montel Jackson knocks him down like 4 times or something. Cody Durden knocks him down early in the first round, finishes him shortly after. Bruno Silva, I think, recorded like 3 knockdowns, gets a finish in the second round. Like, his chin has definitely been checked. He also natural 125er coming up to bantamweight in this fight. And Marcus McGee, he's a filled out big bantamweight there. So JP Bay is going to be at a size discrepancy in this one. The thing is, I will caution, this line feels a little wide to me. JP has a clear path, and that's to wrestle. He's a skilled wrestler. Offensively, very skilled. McGee, I mean, yeah, he stuffed all 6 of Journey Newson's takedowns, but JP is definitely a better wrestler than Journey is. McGee, he's a good striker. He has been taken down prior to the UFC, though. Trains at MMA lad, Sean O'Malley. Great camp there. I get him being the biggest favorite. I still think it's a little wide. Like, if I'm betting, it's dog or pass for me in this one. However, man, like, in 20 teams or less, which is how I make the slate plan, there's so many live dogs on this card it's hard for me to use some of those teams on buys. I'll definitely have some in 150. The pass there with wrestling, if he wins, I think he does score well. But he gets that chin checked once, probably all she wrote. And his cardio. Wrestling is very tiring. It's going to be hard holding down a 135er when used to holding down 125ers. Not sure he has 15 minutes of cardio to compete in this one. So I think McGee, second or third round finish. But don't sleep on JP. He's going to be low owned again. I play 150, so I'll have some there. 20 teams or less, probably won't have any. But I think the odds are a little wide. And of the Josh Freund, like of Jamie Pickett, of him, like I think buys is more live than the odds it dictates. So what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was hoping that I would have the hot take of buys being somebody you don't want to sleep on. I am going to pick McGee to get a second round knockout. I just think that, buys has been knocked down 8 times in his last 3 fights. McGee has power. He's explosive. And he's a pretty good offensive wrestler himself, too. I just think eventually he's going to find Bays' chin and knock him out. But Bays is a good wrestler. I think Bays is a better grappler. I think he's very live to submit him in the first round. If he does have 15 minutes of cardio and can wrestle for 2 or 3 of those rounds, he's going to do more than 10x for sure. But I think he has 100-point upside as the cheapest guy on the card. So I would rather play Bays in my lineups. And I do think I'll get to him with 20 and less. I'll be more overweight to Bays because I would prefer McKinney over McGee for less. So I'll be underweight to McGee, even though I am picking him to get a knockout. I would just rather pay less for a few fighters. And then Bays, he'll go completely overlooked. He should be sub 10% or maybe 10% max. And I'm looking to get a little bit of leverage to that because I think he could go out there and submit this guy in the first round. The line does look a little bit wide. I think there's a lot of recency bias with McGee coming in on short notice, getting that nice finish. And then everyone wanting to fade Bays. I think that's what this line looks like. Everyone just going to the window, trying to fade Bays against no matter what the name is. And I don't know. I think he's more live than Vegas does here. So I'll be more exposed to Bays in this one, even though I'm picking him to lose.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Maybe I changed. I still 20 teams or less. There's just so many live dogs on this card, like plus 180, plus 160. I'm falling a little into the trap looking at that line, but MME Sport, I definitely play 150. They're running it back this week. Maybe DraftKings is doing that from now on. The $3, 150 max out there. Could throw 30 teams in that, 40 teams, whatever. The $18 can get all the way up to 25. Is expensive. To MME that, no doubt. So this gives some people a chance that couldn't throw in 150 or even 60 teams, something like that. They give you a chance to do that. If I'm playing, that many teams, I'm definitely getting some Bays there. But he's picking McGee because I think Bays will break eventually. But good fight, no doubt about that. Next one on the card, one of the 2 weight misses. Josh Freund, Jamie Pickett, 9,400 Freund, 6,800 for Pickett. He is Freund plus 285. This fight is 140 is Freund, plus 500 is Pickett. Definitely don't like seeing Freund weigh in at 189. But sometimes you rather see him weigh in at 189 than 187 or something where they looked like they tried to kill themselves to get those last couple pounds. You're going to forfeit the same amount of purse. But man, my breakdown is Jamie Pickett is cheeks. There's no chance I'm ever backing this dude. He is not UFC caliber. Josh Freund minus 350 against anybody is astonishing to me. But if there's anyone he should be, it is Jamie Pickett. I think Freund's better wherever it goes. But I do see him wrestling in this one. And probably eventually submitting TKO something, but Jamie Pickett. No chance I'm getting a Pickett in 20 teams or less. Freund, 9,400. Like I like McKinney more for 200 less. Amorim still has the same upside and stuff, but I like mixing these upper tier. Minus 210 for McGee to finish. Minus 140 for Freund. Minus 180 for Amorim. Minus 210 for Terrence McKinney. Like that's what we're talking in the upper tier. A lot of these guys have all the upside in the world. Just got to get the right combination. But what do you see in this fight?
Yeah, I'll be fading Pickett as well. he's just not good anywhere. And even when he did win UFC fights, he's got 2 wins. He only scored 66 points in those fights. I feel like that's his upside here. Unless he could land a big shot. He's muscular. If he could land a big shot, that's his ceiling. But he
looks like he'd be a stud. That's
right.
For sure.
Yeah, just looking at him. But yeah, he just doesn't do anything good enough to score minutes a minute. I don't think he's better anywhere in this fight. So I'm picking Freund to win. I just don't like seeing almost a minus 400 on Freund because he's not great anywhere either. I don't think he completely dominates. I don't think he completely dominates Pickett, but I do expect him to win the fight everywhere, and his upside would come on the ground. He did great in his last fight. If he could go out there and get takedowns here, I think he has 100-point upside, and I would rather target him over McGee for $200 less, but I would just make it an ownership game with Freund. If he's going to be high owned, I'll go low. If he's going to be low owned, I'll go a little bit higher, but I would prefer to pay less for McKinney as well. But give me Freund to just win all 3 rounds and probably score 90 points, something like that.
Yeah, I think McKinney will be the highest owned in the upper tier. So I think McKinney, Luque, RDA, those 3 will be in a tier of their own when it comes to ownership. Then after that, I think it'll be relatively spread out. Like Freund might be in the mid-20s, maybe high 20s, something like that. But there's so many guys up there, guys and girls, I should say, fighters. So many fighters up there that have all the upside that are expected to finish. So I think a lot of them eat into each other's ownership. It's a good DFS card for sure. I'm excited for this one. But yeah, I'm on Freund here. If Jamie Pickett wins, it'll bury a lot of my lineups. I haven't decided if I'm fully fading anyone in 150 yet this week. If I do, Jamie Pickett would be the guy that I do, but we'll see if I get there. Couple more fights on the it's still a decent amount of fights left. Tafon Achukwu, AJ Dobson, Tafon 8,400, Dobson 7,800. One of the closest line fights on the card, minus 140 for Tafon, plus 120 for Dobson, minus 160 this fight to finish. Tafon plus 175, Dobson plus 205 inside the distance. So this line opened at a coin flip, minus 110 a piece. Tafon's taking some money, now sitting minus 140. I'll throw it to you first, man. It's a tough fight to call. Tafon was the second of 2 fighters to miss weight, 189.5. So it's Freund last fight. Tafon right here. He is dropping down from light heavyweight. 205 his last 2 fights were. His first one was in the UFC was 185, but dropping down that 20 pounds, man, that sucks. That's a big difference, 205 to 185. A lot of tweeners and stuff have a choice to make. You didn't get all the way down. 2 grown-ass men going at it, though. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I kind of like this one, but I'm more so on the Dobson side. I just think that he is a scary striker, especially early in fights. And Achukwu dropping all that weight, coming off of back-to-back knockouts. I just think he's primed to get knocked out in the first round here. So I'm going to be fairly heavy on Dobson here because I'm projecting him to get that first round knockout. I also think he could be the better offensive wrestler, but I think it would come down to whoever lands the takedowns is going to be fine in top control. They could grind out the rest of the round probably. But I would just rather take the underdog in this one. I slightly favor Dobson personally. So I'm going to go with him to get the first round knockout. But at the same time, Achukwu has scored solid. It was 100 plus in both of his wins. He could go out there and spend time in top control for 3 rounds, score 100 plus in the decision here. And most of his wins are by knockout. So he could possibly be a tank, man, at 185 and just go out there and blast this guy early. I think both sides are in play, but I will be taking more of a stand, and I'll pick Dobson first round knockout.
I like it. I'm not nearly as confident as you. I think this is a coin flip fight, though. So I did say dog money to 600 savings. I lean Dobson. I think it mainly plays out on the feet. If someone does get takedowns, I think it probably is Dobson. But like you said, whoever ends up on top, if someone does, I give the advantage to for sure. 2 big men down there. I think it mainly stays on the feet, though. Like you look at Dobson, Dobson's fights, like he doesn't land much volume, but he's had 2 really tough UFC matchups. Jacob Malkoun, he landed 52 significant strikes, but Malkoun's one of the better at wrestlers there is in the sport. Then you go Armen Petrosyan. I mean, man, Armen Petrosyan is one of the better strikers in this sport, so he gets almost doubled up there. Now he gets the best matchup he's had to date. And looking at Tafon, I mean, his numbers, it looks like he lands over 6 significant strikes per minute on paper, you look, but then you look into it. Mike Rodriguez, who's no longer with the UFC, never should have been, and Jamie Pickett were 2 of the fights where he landed over 100 significant strikes. Just talked about Jamie Pickett. Mike Rodriguez is worse than Jamie Pickett is. If you guys don't know who Big Slow Mike is. So yeah, those two fights are the reason that those numbers are inflated. So you think Dobson first round knockout? Because this was one of the fights I have no lean on anything. A, I don't know who's going to win. I don't have a strong lean there. And B, I can see this fight either being really boring, both respect each other's power, staring at range, 15 minutes, everyone scores bad. Even a third round knockout probably does not end up on the optimal. Or I could just see a car crash. Both these guys are so powerful, strong. Someone lands early. So just say Dobson. I'm telling you right now, I can see the future. Dobson does not get a first round knockout. How do you see this fight going?
Man, I think it would really come down to needing these guys to wrestle for the ceiling. If there's not a first round knockout in this one, I do think Dobson's more durable. I don't really trust Nchukwi to go out there and get a knockout, but I think Dobson off his back is really nothing special. He's so green to the sport. I think it would be close in a decision. I just see Dobson landing the harder shots and Nchukwi possibly landing more shots. And it just coming down to who lands those takedowns. I'm hoping it's Dobson. If he had a minus 148 next to his name, maybe I would have picked Nchukwi, So I'd rather pay the 7,800, target the guy who was knocked out in his last two against a guy who I think is super dangerous in the first round. He's a lot faster. He's a lot more powerful. I think if they're bench pressing, Nchukwi's going to lift more weights. But if they're hitting that punching machine, give me Dobson to be the one landing the harder shots. So first round knockout's why I like him, but I don't feel great about him scoring well if he doesn't get it. You're right.
Yeah, no, I like you for sure. I have a leans on a lot of these other fights. This is one where I'm going to be somewhere around the field on both. I don't want my night over regardless what happens in this fight. That's an approach to 13 fights. And when you make stands on a lot, if you MMA, that's what, if I don't have a lean, I don't want my night to be ruined because of a fight I don't have a strong lean on. So I'll kind of let Solver dictate that, but if Solver's giving me 40% Tafon or Dobson, I'm going to lower that. I want to be somewhere close to the field again. But I lean Dobson the $600 savings with you. You got more confidence on me, so maybe I'll bump up my Dobson exposure a little bit for you, Big Marley. Keeping it rolling. Yasmin, Lucindo, Polyana, Viana. Lucindo, 8,700. Viana, 7,500, excuse me. Minus 200 for Lucindo, plus 170 for Viana. This is the third of three women's fights, and the second that is supposed to go to decision. The only two on the card. First fight on the card, Santos Miller. This one, plus 120. And another one where the rare time, the underdog is more likely to finish. Viana, plus 250 inside the distance. Lucindo, plus 325. So I just, plus 325, awful inside the distance prop on a card with so many projected finishes right in that range. I'm not going to get to Lucindo in 20 entry or below. Sure, does she have some pass? She showed she can wrestle. She has good top control. I don't think this is the fight she's going to wrestle, though. At least she shouldn't. Viana's most dangerous on her back. So I'm expecting Lucindo to want to keep it on the feet. I don't think she gets a first-round knockout. Those props are awful. Even a second or third round, which isn't even likely, still might not be enough. A decision, unless she's landed 200 significant strikes or something. There's just so many paths not to be on the optimal. She'll be low-owned. So, yeah, maybe at 150, I mix in a couple chalky lineups. She's a differential maker, but 20 teams or less, which probably a lot of people watching are playing. I wouldn't get to Lucindo. And as far as Polyana Viana, she's a minute loser. Doesn't throw much volume on the feet. Can't get takedowns really herself. But she'll pull guard, anything she can do to get the fight to the mat. And when it is, one kill jiu-jitsu, all 13 of her fights, she's won by finish. 12 of those 13 in round one. I mean, I got to have some at 7,500. Women's MMA, Lucindo's very young. Viana's got the experience. She's got the jiu-jitsu. If Lucindo does shoot for takedowns like she has, I mean, armbar from guard written all over it in this one. So I'll side with the dog. I'll pick Viana. Confidence at 1 in this one. But I know I have more interest in DFS, which is kind of the reason it made me easier picking her. But, yeah, no Lucindo for me. Give me some Viana. But it's not like I want to have 40% of her, because even a third-round submission win where she's getting beat the first 2 rounds could be 58 points, 65 points. Like, it needs to be early more than likely. But, yeah, I guess Viana for me. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I just think that Lucindo is the minute winner in this fight. She's the better striker. I think she's the better wrestler. She was dominating girls on the regional scene, just taking them down and mauling them on the ground. And I do think she could land takedowns here when she wants them. but she had 4 takedowns in her last fight, only scored 73 DraftKings points in the win. You don't really want to take Viana down. I mean, she could spend time in top control and just be safe there, but that's where Viana's most dangerous, and it could just be one quick submission that ends the night in any round from Viana. So I would rather just pay less and take the underdog. I haven't built many lineups. I think I only have built 2 lineups so far this week, so I haven't got to Viana yet, but I think she could be one of those underdogs I'm mixing into my lineups just for that submission potential. But overall, I'm looking to get away from this fight. Minus 135 that it goes the distance. I think that's what happens too, and Lucindo just wins all 3 rounds and doesn't score well. But at 8,700, I just don't see how she scores 100 plus without a finish. I don't think she'll spend that much time in top control. So Viana or pass on DraftKings.
I like you. We got 3 fights left, but got to shout out my man Sheets. Love having you in chat. Can't make it often. We appreciate those words, Sheets. One of the better DFS players, especially MMA guys out there. So appreciate those words, Sheets. 3 fights left on this card. Again, we appreciate everyone hanging out there, watching live, watching on replay. That like button helps us out a ton. If you do want, head over to shippingnation.com. Get all of our MMA content, as well as PGA, MLB, NFL will be coming. We just released that. The promo code, and it's not even a promo code. We just released our new launch, $321 blast off, 3, 2, 1, 6 months, NFL, NBA, all of the sports you get from now. If you sign up now until the Super Bowl, that is 6 months for a low price, comes out to like $53 a month. All the sports going on, projections, ownership, stack rankings, core plays, slate plans, showdown content, a couple other things too that'll be coming out that we'll be announcing closer to the NFL season, as well as giveaways. They mentioned on that show, we're giving away $1,200 in the next couple weeks. Go check out that show, see how you can win those giveaways. There are requirements. Tambo did a great job breaking that down, though. 3 fights left. Khalil Roundtree, Chris Daucus, 8,900 Roundtree, 7,300 for Daucus, minus 170, Roundtree plus 145 on the way back, minus 600 this fight to finish, minus 180 Roundtree, plus 250 for Daucus. Daucus making his light heavyweight debut in the UFC, dropping down from heavyweight. He did make weight successfully. Let you start with this one, though. What do you like?
Yeah, my fight ends inside the distance, minus 650. So great fight to target both sides of, because Daucus has really been kill or be killed. He hasn't seen the 3rd round since 2016. He's been knocked out 5 times. He has 11 knockouts himself. So I expect 2 strikers to go out there and swing until one of them falls. And when Roundtree shows up, man, this guy is super dangerous. If both of them show up at their best, I expect Roundtree to blow him out of the water, finish him in the 1st round, because he is a super dangerous striker and he's got big time power, but he's not consistent. He just doesn't show up sometimes. He might go out there and just treat this as a sparring match. So at 8,900, I would worry about a guy who is really knockout or bust, because he's not going to be high volume and score well in a 3-round striking match. And he's also not a wrestler. So I expect him to be pretty owned. So I think we could get away from him. If he's going to be too owned, I think we could get away from him. However, I'm picking Roundtree to get a 1st-round knockout, and I expect him to score 105-plus points here in process. So I definitely like him on paper, but all the money's been coming in on Daucus here. I think he would be the better grappler. We've never seen him try to grapple, but he should be the better grappler in this one. He's got knockout power too. Maybe he's even a little bit higher volume on the feet. We don't know what he's going to look like at this weight. So I'm starting to have a little bit more interest in the Daucus side, where I was going to be heavy on Roundtree when he was a bigger favorite. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe I want to get my leverage on Daucus, but I expect a knockout at some point. Give me Roundtree to get it, but we'll see. I'll update the sheets over at shippingnation.com. I'll let you guys know which one I end up heavier to.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. I agree with all of that. I'm just, because of a lot of things you said, which is the reason I'm taking the dog shot, taking the 1,600 savings, prefer Daucus. But so the line open, minus 210 for Roundtree, plus 185 for Daucus, or plus, minus 220, plus 185, now all the way down to minus 170. So Daucus, I mean, you look at it, at heavyweight, yeah, 3-fight losing streak, been knocked out in all of them. I mean, you look who he's lost to. Derek Lewis, one of the hardest hitters out there. Rosenstruck, one of the hardest hitters out there. And then Curtis Blades, I mean, his hands have been much improved, but the threat of the takedown, like Daucus, he was at a tough matchup in all those fights. I liked him at heavyweight because of the speed advantage. So he definitely had fat to lose. So I'm indifferent about the move down because is the speed going to translate like it did at the heavyweight division? I'm not quite sure. You mentioned the grappling, which part of the reason that made me go over on Daucus and pick him too, because like he has a black belt in BJJ. Every time the commentators talk about it, oh, look at his black belt. Like we haven't seen it yet. This could be the fight. Look at his brother, Kyle Daucus. He prefers to get the fight on the mat. They train with each other. And on the feet, 11 of his 12 wins by KO. I think he has the volume advantage. Like he can crack the chin. And the main thing you said early, which is why I leaned and taken the plus money and the savings with Daucus, what Roundtree is going to show up? If it's the Roundtree against Carl Roberson, Roundtree is going to starch him in round one. I'll have some. If it's Roundtree that showed up against Marcin Prachnio, yeah, I think Daucus is going to knock him out in round one. You really never know which one's going to show up. A lot of variance in this one, a lot of volatility. Give me the dog money. Give me the $1,600 savings. I think Roundtree's ownership will stay in check. Again, I think it's going to be McKinney, RDA, Luque in their own tier. After that, I think they all kind of eat into each other. I'm surprised every week by ownership, though. Something always surprises me. Maybe Roundtree's does in this one. But I'll take the dog shot in Daucus. He made weight successfully. Light heavyweight debut. He's been getting knocked out 3 times, though. It's definitely a concern. Not confident, but I'll take the dog money. Hope the bad Roundtree shows up. 2 fights left. Akeem Daudu, Cub Swanson, 9K Daudu, 7,200 for Cub. We got minus 210 for Akeem, plus 180 for Cub. This fight is minus 145 to minus 125 to finish, depending on the book you look at. Plus 110 for Daudu, plus 450 for Cub. Co-main event, what you like in this fight?
I kind of just like avoiding this fight for the majority of my lineups. I think both are in play, though. I'm picking Daudu to get a knockout at some point, but he probably has to get a knockout at 9K. He's a striker only, not going to be looking for takedowns in there. And we've only seen him be high volume in one fight, so I really don't trust him to score well unless it's a knockout. But it's in play. He's got a minus 110 inside the distance line. That's solid. So I do want some Daudu, and I think he'll go overlooked by the field. And then if Swanson wins, I mean, he's the one who has the grappling edge in this one. He's been high volume in the past. It's just he's 40 years old. I don't trust him to win. I see both of these guys as strikers, and Daudu being the better striker, the more powerful striker. And I like him to win all 3 rounds if he doesn't get the knockout. But if Swanson does find a way to win, he's going to score more than 10x that 7.2K price tag. And if he's mixing in his wrestling, he has 90 plus potential. So I'm not against it, but I just want to get away from this fight and kind of hope that I'm wrong with the TKO. Daudu goes out there, scores 70 points and a decision win, and it's just not on the optimal. Because this next fight, I'm going to be all in on. I got to find ways to get there, and I think fading this fight for the majority of my lineups will be a way to do it.
Yeah, it's like you read my stuff and everything I think you do. I mean, I'm underweight on this fight on both these guys. I do think Daudu knocks him out, though, or TKO. So people are probably wondering why you underweight on someone that you think is going to get a TKO or KO. Well, I think he needs to get it in round – or I think he needs it in round 1. Otherwise, even a round 2 knockout, probably not enough. I mean, he's surrounded by killers in the top range. His volume is very questionable. If someone gets takedowns, it's definitely Cub. So at 9K, a guy that's only going to be on the feet, he needs a round 1 knockout. And his round 1 prop isn't that great. It was plus 350 in round 1. So many other people have better first round finishing props. I will say, though, I think like why I'm going to be underweight on Cub, he has decent money line equity for his price. If someone does wrestle, it will be Cub. He averages over 1 takedown per 15 minutes there. But, man, Cub, I think, is just so over the hill. Like what Jonathan Martinez did to him last fight, beat him pillar to post every single way. Daudu, the similar fighter to Jonathan Martinez, won't go for takedowns, good Muay Thai, will mix it up at all 3 levels, has some power. I think the leg kicks will be big. Cub cannot take leg kicks, just got TKO last fight from him. Can't take body shots. I think the leg kicks and the body shots from Akeem are going to add up. That's why I'm saying second or third round, tough enough to survive 5. And after that, eventually I think that leg will be toast. Really, really direct path. I'm saying Akeem by first or by second round, TKO due to leg kicks, just like Jonathan Martinez does. Keem throws nice ones. Cub ain't checking them. So I think he gets it done the second round. Scores less than 100. I want 100 points at 9K. So yeah, I'll be underweight on this fight as well. Last fight on the card, we both hinted at it though. RDA, Vicente Luque, 8,200 for RDA. We got 8K for Luque. This fight, minus 115. RDA, minus 105. Luque, pretty much a coin flip. Minus 120, plus 100 at some spots. RDA open, minus 150. So Luque's got some buyback. Looking at this, it's minus 170 this fight to finish. Luque has the better inside the distance prop, though. It was plus 155, RDA plus 215. I'll let you take it away. What do you like?
Yeah, it's just an all-in fight for me with these guys as the mid-range priced fight of the week. Both of them are just great DraftKings scorers. I don't see how the winner of this one doesn't end up on the optimal lineup. The winner probably scores 100-plus points here. I just don't know how it would be less than 10x for either of these guys because they're going to bring it for all 5 rounds. I think Dos Anjos is the better wrestler. Luque, the higher volume striker, dangerous grappler. It could go any way. I'm just going to be all in on this fight. I'll be targeting both sides for sure. RDA in his last 3 wins, he scored 113, 155, 135. And he has 3 other wins that he scored over 125 DraftKings points as well. So I do think he has the highest ceiling on the card with his wrestling potential over the course of 5 rounds. But when Luque wins, man, this guy scores well. He has 14 wins in the UFC. Only one of them was less than 93 points. And 3 of them were over 120. So I just think we're going to see 100-plus from the winner in this one. I will take more of a stand on the side I'm picking to win. If you want to see who that is, go over to shipitnation.com. I'll have it in the fight rankings. But yeah, just load up on this fight. Whoever you are picking to win, that's who you should get leverage to. But I love this fight, and I expect the winner to be on that 100K lineup. Yeah,
again, we're lockstep. Hopefully it'll be one of us up top, maybe even both of us, because we're lockstep in a lot of things.
Yeah.
60-40, I'm going to make a rule, have 100% of this one in 20 teams or less. Plan is to be around 60-40 RDA. I'm picking RDA. Luque coming off a brain hemorrhage, brain bleed. Like, he got cleared and everything. He was worried about his career, though, being over. I mean, he took so much damage against Jeff Neal. His first knockout loss, face planted. Never loved seeing that. But the red flag, I mean, that's a red flag for Luque. Red flag for RDA. He's a natural 155er coming up to 170 now. Wrestling is going to be harder. Controlling Luque is going to be harder. Luque's dangerous on the mat, on the feet. Luque's the better striker, so I think he wins there. I agree with it being a pick-em. I'm leaning RDA because of the wrestling, though, and his ceiling just so high. If he wins, multiple takedowns, a lot of control time is how I see it. But, yeah, 60-40, something like that. Again, if Solver gives me 60-40 Luque and I love all my other exposures, fine, I'm good rolling that as well. But I do prefer RDA, and I do lean him. But, yeah, great fight to target for sure. 8,200, 8K. If DraftKings, which I wish they did, which FanDuel, the one thing FanDuel does better in MMA, I mean, there's no prize pools to even worry about it, but they do account for 5 rounds against 3 rounds. DraftKings is just money line odds. So 8,200, 8K. Should be 9,200, 9K, which would make things a lot more interesting. But that is all 13 fights on this card. If you do want all of our content, it'll be up at shipitnation.com. All my stuff is done. I have it on different documents. I still have to pull it all over. I got a baseball show too. So it's either going to be up in between now and baseball, or it's going to be up after the baseball show. But 4 p.m. Eastern lock time. We got a lot of time. Marley's fight rankings, projections, and ownership are up on the site as well. And again, no better price. $321 for 6 months. NFL season, 6 months from now. It's Super Bowl Sunday. It's crazy to think that, though. All the NFL to go along with NBA during that time, MLB, MMA, PGA, everything you need to be successful. We'll have projections, ownership for all of that as well. Awesome stuff, Big Marley. Always excited for some fights. Hopefully I run a little better for that 100K this time. Otherwise, my man Rio, my man Big Marley, or anybody out there watching this show, hope you guys get the job done. Final words, Big Marley.
Nah, man, best time of the year. Football coming up. Going strong in best ball, man. Go over to Drafters this weekend. If you draft 5 drafts in that $20, they'll give you a free one. So you'll probably see me in some live drafts. I'm going to be getting at least 5 in this weekend. So I can't wait, man. We got NFL coming up. Learn from some GOATs with Title, Tambo, Hoop. Man, I'm so pumped. Hopefully we get some bankroll builder with this card, and then we just run it up in NFL. I can't wait. Let's ship it.
Absolutely, baby. Loves to see it. Great breakdown as always. Check out Marley and my content at shippingnation.com. Hit that like, hit that subscribe on the way out. Good luck this weekend, everybody. For Big Marley, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.